Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, good afternoon,
Ah, you're
morning.
not you're
I
not
don't know.
matching my energy. What is going on? Hey.
It's
Woo!
midweek. It's not, is it midweek? Listen, it's midweek, okay? I am putting it down to the midweek slump, and
Is
that's a thing, and I'm
is this
going with that.
I thought it was a go slow. But I know workers when when they're like, "Yeah, I ain't getting paid for this."
Hey yo, you just reminded me of the Tsvangirai days.
Uh-huh.
When Tsvangirai left his role as the chairman of the union, and he was starting to advise people to start going slow. And at that moment
Uh,
in time, everyone was excited. They could see the change coming. How many years is it now? 20 odd years, and we're still
ish.
getting excited.
Listen, yeah, I think Lammy, that's the first time I kind of heard the whole go slow thing. Ish, guys. But you know what? It kind of worked a little bit. And
Listen, I've always, and I'll stand by what I've said for a very long time, that the only way it can never change is that reform needs to come internally. It can never come externally. They have to reform themselves internally, and that is the only way we'll see an iota of change. And then once you see that reform internally, I think then what happens is that it gives other parties a chance. We've seen this playbook. Look at Uganda at the moment. It's the same playbook. Bobby Wine will never be president of Uganda. Not a chance, because the structures have been built and they're maintained by the same people that don't want him in power. Not only just the president, it's the whole structure, right all the way through to the judge, to the army, to the civil servant that's passing a few papers down to this and that. The whole structure is built not to let anyone else in. So it has to reform itself from inside out. But anyway, I digress. Go slow.
go slow, but listen, we have to talk about that because they tried, and they tried with the coup is not a coup. But anyway, let's introduce ourselves. For those of you who don't know, we're talking about Zimbabwe because we are Zimbabweans. I mean, are we disclosing that we're Zimbabweans or are we hiding? I'm joking.
Hey, listen, all I know is that my heritage goes all the way back to Abeslubi. So I don't know.
Abehlume baphuma ngaphi? eKZN. Where?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm good. I'm good.
Listen. You're listening to me, Natasha. So this is Chat with Nat with me, Natasha. My friends call me Nat, and you can too. And we have here our resident, we call him the investor, the main stakeholder, our very regular guest who we appreciate dearly, Mr. Brian Lunga. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Natasha. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, you know what? We're here for a short time, not a long time, as as the guys on 6 foot weights like saying. But I wanted to start off with this really sad story
Yeah.
that I saw. I don't know if you came across it, right? So there's this lady, Dr. Fortune Gomo. I think she's a 39-year-old lady who died, unfortunately, in Scotland. It says in the Lockheed area, in Dundee. And it is reported that so Dr. Gomo, she was originally from Mutare. I'm reading here from the BBC, from Mutare, and had just recently graduated with a PhD in Dundee University and had recently started working for Scottish Water. And as I understand it, this was like broad daylight, like just after 4 p.m. She was walking to Lidl with her 10-year-old daughter when she was attacked, stabbed. It is unclear what happened. And she was 2 weeks from her 40th birthday. And here they are saying, I think they've detained someone. Right. Okay. So Kyla Rattray, so probably it sounds like a Scottish person, was remanded in custody and he appeared in private at Dundee Sheriff Court. Why in private?
It
So
could be they're still investigating and they don't have substantial proof as yet. that could be the issue. So they don't want to, I don't know, the lawyers will tell us whether I'm right or wrong, but
Yeah.
sometimes they don't want to, I guess they call it contaminate the case, I suppose.
Right,
I'm
right.
not sure. Yeah, but it could be that. I'm being very speculative now. So,
Yeah, man, I saw that. So initially I saw that on TikTok. So someone
yeah,
was like, listen, there's this thing that has happened. It's not being reported. So at the time, it was hardly anywhere. Like if you Google, there was nothing. Now, if you search, there are a few articles here and there.
yeah,
And I mean, what do you even say? Right? I was just like, it's so heartbreaking. Broad daylight, not saying that any other time would be okay. Broad daylight, you're just walking to the shops. It appears this person who's been detained is a 20-year-old. So,
yeah.
and I'm just like, it's probably going to be something stupid, like this person was high, or maybe it's racism. I have no idea, but my heart just bled because I was just like, man, like, ah,
It's
yo,
tragic.
guys, it's just so sad.
It's tragic. And that's where we are, unfortunately, in that there seems to be a very I can't pin it down whether it's carelessness or whether people now, when it comes to violence, there's no emotion or empathy or whatever you want to call it behind it. I find nowadays people are very careless when it comes to that. They just and it's not getting any easier. And this goes back to Boris Johnson. There's nobody else to blame for all of everything that's happening now. It goes back to Boris Johnson when he cut the police officers right across the country. Because we went from having community police officers. I remember growing up where, excuse me, I knew our local police officer. He used to come chill out with us, have a conversation, play football with us. There was an element of presence, and that presence meant that we're always low key aware that if we do anything silly, this guy is coming. It might not
Mm,
be the biggest deterrent on earth, I agree, but it was there in the community and it helped so much, especially for a lot of people that come from communities that, you know, where we often had troubles.
yeah,
Having that community presence, seeing a police car every few minutes, hours driving past, seeing them walking, seeing them on horses, those small little things are a deterrent and it helps.
mm.
But now I can count the last time I saw a police officer walk down my area.
That's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that. That's a fair point. I haven't seen. They used to be like literally like every day you'd spot them like at least twice a day walking up and down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think now, if you look at London now, this is London, the
Mm,
biggest city in the country,
yeah.
where a man can steal a bike, grind it down in broad daylight without not even a police officer or siren close by.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And still get up, get on the bike, cycle away, nothing happened.
Man,
The biggest city. So think about the smaller cities. Think about Dundee right now,
yeah.
that their resources must be so stretched in, in being around.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine that if I wanted to do something careless, I then have to essentially think twice if I knew that police officers are walking up and down. There's an
Yeah.
element of thinking twice, no matter how hardened a criminal you are. I'm sure there's an element of thought that goes, maybe
Yeah.
let me not do it, but that's not visible anymore.
Yeah. Oh man, it made me think about the young boy who was going to school. So this was at the time he was a 14-year-old. I think it's Daniel Anjorin, um, uh, a son of Nigerian parents who was just literally walking to school in the morning, and then this 40-year-old like wielded some machete or whatever. And I think he was recently sentenced to 40 years in prison going to school like before 8 in the morning, right? So man, this is just heartbreaking. It is our condolences to the family, to the Gomo family. I can't even imagine the young daughter who apparently is 10 years old who was there, who witnessed everything, just the scars that she has. But yeah, no, our thoughts, guys, just like if you come across updates, let's just try to amplify so that she at the very least gets justice. I would encourage people who are in Dundee or like close to Dundee, like wherever it's possible to actually go in person for these hearings. I think it would be powerful. There's always power in numbers, right? So if people actually show up, like it means something. So yeah, no, so that story really troubled me. It really troubled me, and I just was like, man, my Zim sister,
I
rest in
get it, man.
peace. Rest in peace,
And I
Dr.
think it's
Gomo.
also a perfect opportunity to also let people know that no matter where you are, if you're confronted by people nowadays, the best thing is just to go home, just walk away, go home,
Mm,
call the police, walk away. Because, you know, people nowadays, and there's good parts to having the internet on our phones constantly, but there's also the bad parts, where people are buying knives from TikTok, where people are seeing murder on TikTok and they're laughing about it.
yeah,
Those are people that have no clear care about anybody else
yeah.
when it comes to those situations. So walking away is just walk away, go home. I always say, me now, I run. I don't
Mm,
mess about. And this is not to, please don't misquote me here. This is not to put anything to say there was a confrontation in that situation. I am just generally saying
yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know, now, I always laugh at my friends and say, me, I run nowadays. Even
Mm,
I've not been in any situation like that, but I would
mm.
run because I just want to go home. I just want to
Yeah,
wake up at home.
yeah,
And
yeah.
please, there's no heroes out there. So yeah. And there's also another sad case of last week, a
Hmm.
Zimbabwean guy got hit by a train. Um, they were still,
Yes.
yeah, British Transport Police was still sort of investigating that as to whether it was a suicide or something more.
Yeah, I
But
saw
yeah,
that. Yeah, I saw
it's
that.
it's been a sad couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, man, it is. It's always so heartbreaking. It's always so heartbreaking when these things happen. That's why there's always power in community. You know what we've always
Facts.
talked about, power in community, because we'll need to lean on each other in some way. So no, our condolences. We will keep closely following this. And then before we go on, I just wanted to say shout out to you guys for the previous episodes. So some of you may know they may have noticed that uh I went a bit MIA. I've been a bit like disorganized. I started a new job, a new role, like within where I work. And yo, the flames I have been seeing. Hey! So, guys, I apologize. I did put out like some pre-recorded. You guys already know. Like, I don't hide it from you guys. I've got like some episodes in the vault. So I did put out some, but then I just wanted to to say, please forgive me. The flames that I've been seeing. So, but if you haven't listened, like I put out an episode on Acon where I kind of did like a brief. I was looking at all the lies that Akon has told about Africa. So there's a whole
Sid, leave my
episode.
brother alone. He's ambitious.
There's a Akon went on Vlad TV and said, like, "Oh yeah, white people in South Africa are suffering." I said, "No, no, we can't have this." And then there's an episode where I was like, "I'm no longer trying to be a better person." So you guys need to listen to that. But then before that, there was an episode that you guys really enjoyed. This was with the author of Bitter Honey. So I had a chance to sit with Lola Akimnade. She's got this book, Bitter Honey, which is honestly, I'm not just lying to you guys. A lot of you guys know I've said for a while, I haven't been reading for a long time, but this book I was hooked, like absolutely loved it. And I just wanted to give a shout out to um a comment on Spotify from Bookie, beautiful book caller says, I really enjoyed this interview and I'm going to check out this book and her earlier ones too. I love when authors create a universe of characters. The cardamom bun sounds delicious. This is like the Swedish bun. Hopefully I can find some authentic ones in London. If anyone knows any hotspots, let me know in the chat. And a lot of you guys also liked it on TikTok, on the clip that I put on TikTok, and some of you said you were going to read it. So at some point, maybe end of this month, I'll just check in with a few people to see if we don't want to do like a book club thing, right? To kind of go over it. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out and then to say that what I'm gonna do is we're in July now, right? At the end of this month, we're gonna take a break. So we may say like this is like season two. I think this was like season two of Chat with Nat, and then we'll kind of like wrap it up, just so that guys, this this working 9 to 5. What a way to make I I need to, yeah. So I just need some time to rest. And then I need time to honestly, there's so many of you who I've reached out to before, or you've reached out to me about coming on, and I just haven't come back to you. So I just want to like pause, use like maybe we'll come back September, end of September, but use that time to kind of like I've got a whole notebook of plans and like to reach out to people, schedule, and then we'll come back with a bang. So just wanted to preempt that there'll be a bit of out of office going on. Uh yeah, so
I
that's
want to go
me.
back to the book club. Is that something that's long term? Starting a book club? Or
I
is it just
mean,
for the one book?
it depends on interest. Like
Listen,
we
more than five, not even more than three, five people is still a book club.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, no, we I would love to do that because before ages ago on the old podcast, we used to do like TV, like we used to have like an insecure. You remember Insecure the show?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we used to do like reviews for Insecure. So yeah, we can definitely go back to that. We've been doing our walking challenge, Brian. I don't know if you want to
Yeah, I
join
see.
us.
Listen, I got the Apple Watch charged up. I'm hitting them 10,000 steps like it's nothing. Watch me.
So yes, guys. Well, this episode we don't have much time, but we'll talk about because I said we're still here till July. We'll talk about the walking challenge because we're going to keep going. I tried doing a similar thing with the walking challenge. I tried to say, oh guys, let's take a break. I was like, guys, let's take a break, like July, August, come back in September, and people were like, no. I said, oh, okay, sorry.
Listen, it's a perfect opportunity because people, depending on which hemisphere you're in, it still
Mm,
works, right? If you're
yeah,
here summertime, you're
yeah,
enjoying your life, you're getting your steps in. If
yeah.
you are in South Africa, Zim, you are getting your steps in, getting ready for summer. Come on, don't do this to people now. Give the people what they want.
Listen, so I'm doing like a 30-day challenge for myself, and I'll do it maybe for another episode. Like it's been good. It's been good. Like I've learned a lot about showing up for myself and like keeping the promise that you make to yourself. Because I think sometimes for me anyway, it's easiest to let myself down, right? I don't like letting other people down, but when things are just too much, it's easier to just like whatever promise I made to myself, I can easily like push it back down because no one is gonna hold me accountable. But it's been interesting kind of, prioritizing that. But anyway, listen, last I will say on this, next year, if you see a group of us looking beautiful and sexy, please don't be like, oh, you guys didn't tell us. Oh, wow, wow, wow. You guys are watching us cook and you're like just doing nothing. Next year, 2026, if you see a group of people who just look fine and healthy and glowing, don't be like, how? Just know the cooking is happening now. So
Just gotta join in, be part of the
exactly.
process.
I may edit this out because this is too much pressure on myself. But anyway,
That's funny.
Brian, um, anything that's been happening, politics. I was really interested in like the Trump Musk fallout because I know previously we had talked about them, and then but we didn't talk about the big fallout. I was interested in your thoughts on that, and then any other thing like from the African continent. What is going on?
Listen, the whole Trump thing, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. You can't have two people who are very opinionated in that situation, both pretty much acting as leaders in their own way. All right. I always find if you're both opinionated, it's best to be best buds and never divert from each other. Just always back each other up in your opinions. But they had slightly differing opinions in parts. And obviously that became a thing. But what was very interesting was some of the information that Musk released was very, hmm. Even
Yeah.
though he kind of retracted back and said, no, it's not the case. The whole file's not coming out. It was a bit,
I was gonna say, did you see what just came out like
nah,
yesterday?
no. Fill me in.
The Department of Justice. Oh my God, let me find this. The Department of Justice said they can confirm that there was no client list, that Epstein didn't have any client list, and that he definitely his death was, suicide. It literally just came out. So everyone is like, what were the folders that you guys, yeah. So
Yeah, I think, yeah, I caught sight of that. And that's funny because what we're starting to see is this where Trump says something,
yeah,
sort of that contradicts what was said before. And for example, we saw it with the whole Iran-Israel thing where
yeah,
the the Defense Department said we didn't really do much damage to Iran. And Trump saying, "Oh no, we killed them. Them bombs were powerful, powerful bombs." Right? And all of a sudden, you know, eventually this head of CIA, yeah, we did something. It's
yeah,
becoming very common that, which is worrying,
mm,
US sense. That is very worrying
yeah,
because it's beginning to feel a little bit, beginning to feel a little bit like home.
yeah. It exactly because it's, yeah, like the DOJ thing is just like, oh, okay, so like, yeah, um a review ordered by President Donald Trump appointed leadership of the Justice Department FBI found no evidence that notorious deceased financier Jeffrey Epstein kept a client list of associates whom he blackmailed or conspired with to victimize. Okay, so what was the basis of his charges, right? Because he was awaiting sex trafficking. So for me, I'm like, okay, what is that? What's her name? Maxwell?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so what is she doing in prison then? If you guys are saying
vibes.
there was no client list.
It's just there for vibes. What can we say? It all just doesn't make sense anymore. And I think
Mm.
you go back to the people that are sort of linked to this, whether it's directly, whether it's indirect, whether there was a little picture taken once in 1995, or whether there was a picture taken in 1989, you know, it's they're very high profile people. You're talking
Yeah,
from Trumps to the Clintons.
yeah,
It's a huge list. You're talking about Prince Andrew, it's a
yeah,
very huge list, and you're talking about guys that can change the narrative a little bit with the
yeah,
powerful lawyers that they might hire to change that narrative. All it
yeah,
takes is a gagging order to a newspaper. That's what it
yeah,
takes. A
yeah,
very good lawyer puts together a nice little doc, nice little gagging order. Judges are also involved. Some of them were there
yeah,
that were pictured. So really and truly, I'm being very speculative on this. It's not legit
yeah,
information, but
yeah,
it's me just trying to look at it from a different perspective to say, when you look at the people that are involved in
yeah,
this situation, some of them are people that are big heavyweights in the political arenas across the world, big heavyweights in the royals across the world.
yeah.
It's a very concerning situation.
Woo!
There you
Listen,
go.
I was just like, I need to read up because I'm like, so what is Giselle doing, man? Like, if we're freeing everybody, like, I think her name is Giselle Maxwell, or I may have got it wrong, but like, why is she then doing? You know, like if everybody is innocent and there was no client list, meaning there was no client, um, so meaning there was no, sex trafficking, meaning there was no, you know, and then that leads me to bad boy. Have you been following the Diddy? Okay, sorry,
Listen, give the man
such a
back his
wrong
baby oil.
this is such a wrong segue. I was
Give
when
him back his baby oil.
Brian, when I tell you I was obsessed with that Diddy case, And you know what?
Oh,
I have to shout out like content creators because I think at first they were kind of like, oh, you know, these bloggers, Johnny, these YouTube people. Honestly, they made it so interesting. Like I would be at work and I'd be like tuning into like there was this guy on TikTok called Mike's Law, you know, very, very like guilty, like, and then like, I was so because the case was so interesting, right? Because at first you heard like, oh, Kanye West is Mr. West in the building. You're like, what is going on? And then you start listening and you start listening and start listening, and you're like, I literally didn't expect. I don't know. Were you even following it, or were you just
no, not deeply.
okay?
Because I found it very, I wouldn't say disturbing, but I found it very, I can't even find the word for it,
Yeah,
but it just got to a point where I thought, just lock this man up, but
yeah.
clearly give the man back his baby oil back because just give
Yeah,
the man back his baby oil.
so I
That's what
was
I'm saying.
following it like I was like, I now get why people like true crime documentaries. Like, if you tell me like the Diddy case, I will tell you like this witness, this, you know, this racketeering, the 5 counts he was up for, what are the predicates for a RICO? Like, I had to read up and read. Like, I was like, and and I think it's one of those things that obviously because of the nature of everything, like it's just so sensitive. And sometimes I do find like people who have been following the case, they'll kind of get into like the this, I guess, facts of the case as were presented. And I think that, like, I didn't think he would get away with the big charges, right? Because I kind of thought, oh, they want this guy, and everyone was like, prosecution, like the success rate is so high. And I can't. Okay, I think TV didn't help. Hear me out. Sopranos, Power, uh, shows like Scandal, but Power, because in my mind, did you watch Power?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did watch
In
Power.
my
Yeah,
mind, I'm like, okay, Ghost, Tommy, that is a criminal enterprise,
yeah,
right? They've got a bar, which is a shell. Like they've got, you know, Tasha's hairdresser place,
yeah.
the laundromat. I'm like, okay, I get it. Criminal enterprise selling drugs. So with the Diddy case, when you're now trying to say, because I remembered like Power, like Ghost, like it was a RICO that they were trying to. But then now when I was looking at this, I'm like, wait, this is a one man RICO? Right? And then, because initially with the Diddy stuff, I literally thought it's a case where he's selling the footage to the dark web. That's literally what I thought. I thought maybe it's a case where selling the footage to the dark web, transporting people from Asia to the United States to like that's literally what I thought. And I think, man, yeah, the legal people will debrief, but it's so fascinating the way it all played out because last year, remember Homeland Security, 70 Homeland agents in his home, a press conference where they were saying, oh, we found the baby oil laced with drugs. That's what they were saying. That's what they were saying. So it's just one of those things where you're like, but yeah, but anyway, I can talk about this. It just kind of felt like, okay, this man has done something, but why are they charging him this way? Although I understand that maybe some of the stuff, you know, statutes of limitations, so some of the states couldn't take it further. But I was just so, man, that case, the loser in all of this, last point that I'll make, unfortunately, is I feel for all the witnesses that came that were subpoenaed and went on the stand, because I think the prosecution could have done a better job at targeting the right charges against him and not what they charge. And I think it's going to be so difficult for those people to gain back their lives
Yeah.
because a lot of what they shared in the name of getting justice is just now out there for everyone. I feel sorry for Jane Doe, like one of the
Yeah.
people, like her name is Jane
Good
Doe.
name, Jane.
And like I'm just like, she's shared all of this, like, people in the hip hop, like they know who she is. And I'm just like, man, if I were them, I would be suing the prosecution. I'd be suing the state, because I'd be like, you guys literally made me like bear everything, and then this is the result. But
But that's
anyway.
the thing with the law, right? With the law, there's a certain level of acceptance that if the evidence is deemed not enough, then
Yeah,
this is why here they use a very famous, the famous word, well, phrase rather. They use a famous word phrase here, beyond reasonable doubt.
yeah, yeah,
Once you start saying beyond reasonable doubt,
yeah.
then, for example, my car's number plate, I think someone gave a wrong number plate
Right,
for where I was at a certain point, and there was an accident. And then
right.
police wrote to me saying that I hit a car, and
Yeah,
that's it. But I remember where I was that day, what time, so I put
yeah,
all the evidence together, and I said I can prove beyond reasonable doubt that I was
yeah,
not at said place, because the said place was 300-400 miles away from my house.
yeah,
I can prove beyond reasonable doubt that I wasn't there. Once you
yeah.
say beyond reasonable doubt,
Mm,
the case falls apart, because just because I said I saw you, that's
yeah,
not proof beyond reasonable doubt.
yeah.
And this is where the problem is with, I guess you can say it's a problem or it's a good thing depending on which side you are of the fence.
Mm,
For me, it was a good thing, but if I was on the other side, probably it's a bad thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it really depends. But that's the problem with the law in a way, that you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And
See, see,
reasonable doubt is very shifty.
yeah. See,
It moves the scales.
these are the children that Jay-Z raised. What's that song? Whatever. Are you some kind of lawyer or something? What's that song? Help me out, help me out.
No, I'm not helping you out for that when it's coming
You know the
towards me.
song, right? You
No, I don't.
know.
I don't. I refuse.
These are but
Oh, good
apparently,
luck.
Jay-Z is still refusing to do a DNA test. Talk about sons, but anyway,
That's another part. That's another thing altogether.
listen. But is there anything happening in Africa?
Africa, a lot is happening in Africa. You think of what's going on in Liberia now. With the loss of US aid, Liberia healthcare sector is struggling big time.
Really?
Yeah, so it's not looking great there. People are suffering now because, they're not getting certain medication that they were getting.
Hmm.
Um, um, Cancer treatments out the window, because that US aid really helped a lot in terms of getting people the medication and the treatment that they needed to at least manage their lives well. But now it's not looking great. You also look at what's going on in Kenya. Kenya has a huge problem at the moment in that they want Ruto to step down. Ruto doesn't want to step down. As such, I think yesterday about 11 Kenyans were killed by the security forces. It seems that security forces in Kenya just love shooting at people with live rounds, unarmed. I just never get that justification. I can be controversial and say there's a certain country in this world that we know of that justifies shooting people because they threw stones at them. It's the same thing. I don't get it. If a protester is going to throw a stone at you, why do you have to shoot them? It doesn't make sense to me, right? Could you throw some tear gas in there? Fair enough. But the protests have been going on for a while now, and although sometimes it go coming on and off,
Hmm.
they don't want Ruto in power anymore. They feel like he's not doing the right thing for the country, economically, socially. He's traveling a lot, spending money, and he's very hypocritical according to them. So it's not looking great in the context of, you know, for the local Kenyan, the economy is not looking great, and they're very scared that it might take a downward spiral. And
Right.
Gen Z is trying hard to fight that and protest as much as possible. But what I'll say I commend a lot about Kenyans, man, I admire that, is if there's a call out to get out on the street and demonstrate for what they believe in, they go out there, right? They go out there, despite people being shot at, despite people being killed by security forces. They're out there, they're demanding their level of change. And what that does, I think, and there's a certain country in Southern Africa that doesn't realize this, is that what that does is that in turn, if I then announce that I'm going to run for presidency, I'm already aware that there's a level of accountability I need to have because those guys will come out and those guys will try and talk and sort of, say, hear us out. This is what's happening. Talk to us. But if we all just stay home,
Yeah.
it just gives people the license to have no accountability. Listen, 5% accountability is better than zero accountability. 100%.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with these statesmen who think they're above everything in this world and they're anointed by God to do things. All right. There we go. I mean, I find it very interesting speaking about anointed by God. Some of them swear that they're anointed by God and they have to serve the people. So where do we draw the line between that and monarchy? Because monarchy swears that they're anointed by God. So where do you draw the line?
That's a whole other episode. But
I'm
remember,
intrigued.
but remember, when you're serving God's people, you have to serve them well. You see, you should have to. I would have, because not like from memory,
Yeah,
it was Moses that led the the people from Egypt, right? But there's
Israelites.
something that happened, and there's a reason why Moses didn't go into the promised land with them, because he did something that yeah. So basically all I'm saying is, you people who that if that's your reference, there's also a reference that shows you have to lead well, right?
Yeah,
And that there are repercussions for not leading God's people well. So that's if that's your reference, if you are saying Uguti Mina, if that's not your point of reference, that's different, right? If
yeah.
that's your reference and you're saying that, me, God is in it and everything, right? That's the standard. There is also a biblical standard, that's if you're a Christian, that shows you that you have to lead the people well, and that there has been repercussions for people who do not lead the people well. So
There you go.
the
I
people
just
hide
find
by
it
that
fascinating.
because people then don't challenge them, and people hide
But
by that.
could you also play it on the fact that we are the problem as the populace, as the electorate, were the problem because, okay, maybe fascinated is a very harsh word, but I'll use it for the time being for purpose of argument, that we're very fascinated by religion and we've taken it so much that when somebody says, I am the voice of God, we're all like, yeah, he's the chosen one. Let's follow him.
So yes. So I do have to abruptly stop this podcast for reasons that I said at the top, like working 9 to 5. But you are making a good point. Yes, but the thing is, once you really understand what you claim to subscribe to, you then understand that that doesn't work. Like when you understand this religion that you claim to subscribe to yourself, when you
Yeah,
don't, the problem is that people contract off this thing to other people, right? And they're
yeah,
saying, this
yeah.
person's going to tell me. So that's where we go wrong, because when you don't and you read and you have your own relationship, you understand that this is not it. Like, this is not how. Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, if you contract someone else to be the voice that tells you, yeah, they get it wrong. Not even that they get it wrong, sometimes they know that you guys are, you're not going to do the work
Hey,
to whatever. But anyway, Mina, as I said, working 9 to 5. What, listen, if you're watching this and you are from a certain organization where I may be employed, this is on a weekend. So I just have to get off.
Gotta go do some work, gym, 1,000 steps, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the voice of the people is the voice of God. I'm out of here. Let's go.
Guys, take care. We love you so much. Bye.